What's up? Brandon Lilly here. I get this question from time to time, and I think it's very important. It's actually relevant to me today because I have a heavy squat coming up in about an hour. So the question is, people ask me from time to time, how do you mentally prepare for a heavy day, and how do you mentally prepare for a meet day? Well, in reality, there should be no variance in how you prepare for any of your training days because they all have the same amount of importance. A heavy day is just going to be more of a revelation of where you are in your strength, whereas, your building days are going to be more that. They're going to be just as important to the puzzle as the heavy days. But that's the problem that a lot of people make right off the bat, is they think that a heavy day is somehow more important than a speed day. And that, to me, is just complete bullshit, because if the speed days weren't important, why would you do them at all? So, first of all, make all your training important. But second of all, if I ask anybody with relative intelligence to say their ABCs and say they were going to be judged on how well they said them, not too many people would be afraid. You'd be pretty confident that you've mastered the ABCs and you have an understanding of how to be able to say them. Well, that's how I approach a meet, and that's how I approach my training. I don't go into a meet planning on attempting numbers that are ridiculous or hopes or dreams. I plan on going into a meet doing numbers that my training has indicated are possible. You'll never see me open up very heavy on anything. I mean, relatively speaking, I open up with something that I know without a doubt on my worst day I can smash it. That way, no matter what, I don't bomb. I try to build a meet around whatever the day gives me. But I set my openers very realistic, very, very attainable, probably something I could even do for a triple in some cases. So these guys that open up with these huge numbers, it doesn't make any sense to me. What are you hoping to gain by opening that way? It doesn't matter where you open, it matters where you finish. So learn from that. And secondly, in my training, again, it all indicates where I'm going to be. I don't go into my training thinking, oh my God, I have to do this, or it means this. I have to do this, or it means this. I have a general parameter of what I'm going to try to accomplish. Today I'd like to hit 95% plus. If I get in there and 90% feels awful, then I'm going to take a jump to say 92%, see how that feels. If that feels awful, shut it down. Today I'm just not feeling good for 95% plus, so I walk away. I did some good work. I hit my accessories hard, and I go home. I don't stress about it. I don't go home and, hate myself over it. It's what the day offered. So that's what people need to learn. And remove the emotion from your lifting as much as you can. I see so many guys that go into meets and they're stressed out, and they're getting all geeked up and psyched up before a lift. And, from time to time I do that myself. But in training, what is the point? You should be training as uninfluenced as possible. It should be as bare minimum motivation as possible. That way you're actually using your muscles and your body to lift the weight, not emotion and aggression. Save that for the meet. And the other thing, when you get to a meet, you should be so confident in what you're doing and what the numbers in your training have led you to do that you shouldn't have to be that way. I've yet to see very many professionals lift on emotion. You see a lot of guys, they're emotional about their lifts after they're done, but the better the lifters are, very oftentimes they approach the bar very calmly. This past meet, Yarnbest, Brian Carroll, Shane Church, Chad Walker, Clint Smith, everybody gets under the bar, with a certain amount of focus. But I didn't see anybody running around screaming and carrying on and things like that. And these are the guys that did the best at the meet. They've done it over and over and over, and that's what separates them. They are a professional class because they don't have to get that emotional drive to win. The emotional drive to win is professional class. They beat their peers. That's enough emotion that they need right there. So I think the sooner you can learn to lift in your training, especially without emotion, and make it a procedure, make it a process that you go through every single time, because you can't always replicate emotion. If you could, that would be amazing, but you can't always guarantee that rush of adrenaline. So train hard, train smart, and build your days around what your training says. Don't try to make your meat something that you hope for and dream for. Make them what your training says they will be, and you'll be a lot better off. You'll have a lot better meats, and your progression will be consistent. So that's how I approach it anyway. And I hope you learned something from it, and hopefully you'll do the same.